start on some oily bits now. Got the exhaust off, and I'm guessing this car's been off the road for 20 years, so everything is pretty rock solid. But I do sort of pride myself in not breaking anything. So I have the luxury of oxyacetylene and plenty of heat on those nuts. Got those off. Now I've got the chassis off the ground, or the wheel off the ground, and I've got a jack under there, and I've got the top nut off the shock. So I'm going to try and get these torsion bars off while I've still got the weight of the engine on the chassis. Torsion bars are a bit of a mystery to me, but so take this bolt out. Take the bottom one out, which I don't think you have to do, but I'll do it anyway because it's got to come off. And then look at the torsion bar. Right, the book says remove the reaction lever locking bolt passing through the clevis cross member into the lever. So I'm pretty sure it's this one, which is, I took it out now, but it's right in there, and you just get a spanner up there onto the nut. It's the nut at the front of the car. Unfortunately, that just came out. If that had been seized, that would have been a real nuisance. And that's what came out. So, next step. Well, it says scribe a line on the two connecting pieces there, but it's so hard you can barely leave a mark on it. So I put a felt pen mark, and hopefully that'll stay on there. Then when it's on the bench, I can try and get a more permanent mark. And I've also measured, so my next bit is to undo this brass bolt, this brass nut rather, and I've measured the distance from the end of the bolt to the start of the nut, so when I put it back together I can get it roughly in the same position. Well, the next stage is to undo this, and it says undo it till it's nearly off its thread. Well, I've still got 5mm thread hanging out the bottom here, and the tension's completely off that now. Right, I'm now at the front of the car, and I think this is a set screw on the front of that. There's like a, what do you call it, a lever attached to the torsion bar, and there's a set screw there, and you can just get a ring spanner on. It looks like it's hard to get to, but you can just do it, and it's come out alright. Still at the front of the car, and looking at this slotted nut with a pin through it. And this old engineer that I used to know, he told me off for putting a split pin through and bending it at complete right angles, and he said no need for that, all you got to do is just part them, it won't fall out. Which makes sense, because this one was bent right over, and now it's all kinked up like a snake, and it won't come out. So I've got a lot of fiddling to do to try and pull that pin out. Well, the pin's out, and of course it wouldn't straighten to anything like it would go out the hole, and there's nothing hanging out the other side to grab hold of. But fortunately I managed to get on the bolt the other end and turn the whole thing round so it's in a more useful position, and I broke both the legs off from this end and then made this drift to just tap it through. So I've got enough to grab it with some pliers from the other end and pull it out, but what a nuisance. Well, it's off. And this was incredibly difficult to get off. And I eventually did it with this piece of bronze bar and the biggest hammer I could swing. And you can just get a purchase on here from the front of the car, and that, well, eventually slides off, but man, that was tough. The back end, which is also splined, came off quite easily. So these are the bits I've got. Off this end, we got this this bolt that goes through there, and we've got a set screw that goes from that end into there. Oh, there we are. Then the lever end, so here's your lever. And that wasn't tight at all, that tapped off quite easily, thank goodness, because that would be difficult to get into that hole and get it off. Anyway, that's that. There's a pinch bolt that goes through there. This bolt goes through there, through the chassis. And then this is your adjuster gubbins. And that's brass, so that obviously wasn't a problem. So I'll get this one side cleaned up and painted and bagged up before I do the other one. And try and find out where it's stamped RH. I think it should have RH on it somewhere. So I'll have a look for that. I don't know if you could see in that last still. It actually looks like ONS, but I guess it's just NS for near side. My felt pen markings, I think I've just managed to save them, and I've just put a little saw cut mark there and corresponding ones on there, and the same on this end as well. There's my felt pen mark, you can just still see it. So if I've got those in the right place, that'll help me line it up when I put it all back together. So one down, one to go.